Hi,
Hey,
I'm Anand Sharma, Executive Director, TechPlus Media Group, and I welcome you to yet another episode of CEO Talks. Today we have an enterprising CEO and co-founder of HappyLocate, Mr. Ajay Tiwari, with us on this CEO Talks. Ajay, I welcome you to the event and thank you for joining us.
thank you, Anand, for having me here.
Sure. Why don't you give a brief introduction about yourself, Ajay?
Anand, I have spent good 13 years in HR. I come from absolutely an HR background, but I do say I'm an HR professional with a sales attitude, and that is something which got me into entrepreneurship to pursue.
Uh-huh.
Um, but largely coming also on it, I have my co-founder. He's an ex-NIT and an ex-IIM. We both have relocated good 6 times in our careers, and that's something which is common between us. But additionally, in my HR tenure, I have managed thousands of employee relocations. And that's exactly one of the strongest connect points or reasons why we connect with this industry and why we are now disrupting global mobility and largely the relocation space.
Mhm. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ajay. So, folks, it's always better to hear from the owner about his or her organization. And I can't do a better job than what Ajay would do. So, over to you, Ajay. What is Happy Locate all about?
Uh, so, Happy Locate, largely, if I was to make it in few statements to be remembered, Happy Locate helps corporates to automate and manage end-to-end employee relocations.
Mhm.
It has policy reinforcements. It has inbuilt approval flow. So I feel if you look at from my perspective, probably this was the missing product in the entire HR suite. And that is where we are filling the gap. So you had recruitment, which was already automated. You had the complete HR systems, the payrolls already automated. To manage employee relocation, which was also to do a lot with the joining experience of the candidate, that was one missing piece, and which was very painful as an experience. And that's what we are transforming, and almost we are looking at disrupting it ultimately. And therefore, it's a B2B focus model, which is where employee relocation management is what we do largely. However, we are also a B2C model. So we cater to corporates through an enterprise tool. And at the same time, we are also a marketplace where anybody, which is can come directly on the platform and they can book relocation services. When I say relocation services, it is not just about packing moving, but it is packing moving, house search, hotel stays, and school search assistance. All services involved in ensuring a seamless relocation experience is what Happy Locates take care of end to end. And so, in as a layman, if you were to visualize, you can call me an Uber of relocation, largely taking complete accountability.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So, you have been an experienced HR professional, having worked with many renowned MNCs. What made you change your career path to get into relocation business?
Uh, I think from day one of my career, it was all about making a difference. It's all about contributing significant. That's how it has been, and that's how I've been mentored throughout my career. While I have done enough in recruitment as a domain, in HR as a domain, this was one pain point. And I think it's just that entrepreneurship is something which is an attitude that you carry from day one. Even while you are in job, you work like an entrepreneur is what has been there as an attribute. And then when you get an idea, I think you cannot resist yourself in solving it. And you think by doing this, you'll be able to create a larger difference, and more significantly is how you can contribute, is what finally moved me into this. So that's what. So entrepreneurship, again, I think that's something that was carrying throughout. Relocation, because that was one subject that I connected very well with. And I've been, as I said, no, not just relocated myself, but also I have managed thousands of employees. So I saw that the pain is not just to a strata of audience, but I think it's all across. But the trigger point to start HappyLocate was, Anand, I as an HR, when I was managing employee relocation, I also saw that more than the pain to the end user or to the employee, the pain is larger to the employers or to the organizations. Because ultimately, in most of the cases, it is they who are paying for it. And I used to see cooked up claims coming in, or people used to give whatever claims that they want to. So the policies largely, which is prevalent, is like you get three quotations and the lowest one gets approved.
Yeah.
And I used to see obnoxious quotes coming in. I knew this is not what it should be, but just because this industry is extremely unorganized, the players are very unauthentic. The pricing is very discreet. There is no fixed MRP. I had to approve it as per the policy. But I knew that's not the right, and I too knew this is a cost leakage for enterprises. And that's exactly where I was. You can say I was definitely tired of approving quotes which I myself am not convinced with.
Hmm.
That was a trigger point where HappyLocate came to the mind.
No, that's great. And you rightly pointed out that at senior positions, even in organizations large or small, you need to work as an entrepreneur and think of the P&L on each transaction.
Absolutely, yes.
So
Absolutely.
absolutely with you. Great. So how do you see the relocation segment evolving over the years, and how does HappyLocate add value to the industry?
If I was to tell you about the industry in a nutshell, I must say one of the most unorganized sectors that I've seen,
Mhm.
in all good sense, because that's an opportunity. I mean, ultimately, is how when I look at, or rather, the way I put it is probably one of the most beautiful problems to solve because it doesn't only impact the end user, which is an employee, it also impacts the enterprise,
Mm.
which is the employer. And that's one. But if I was to just give some stats around it, there are some 17,000 cases of thefts happening every year.
Mhm.
Now, if you get into the RCA and the root cause, 90% of the relocation market is serviced by unauthentic players. Those local players, most of them are either born packers movers overnight. All that they need is 5,000 rupees ka carton box and material, and they become a packer mover overnight.
Yeah.
That's how the industry is. It's less than 10% is only where those very large packers movers, the largest ones, are servicing. So you can imagine, and just because 90% is serviced by unauthentic players, the kind of damage ratios, the kind of delays are maximum. The redressal system is very, very poor. Over and above, the pricing, as I said, is very discreet, which makes it all the more a pain area to solve.
Yeah.
Now, that is the industry. And on the other side, if you look at enterprises, they're losing millions with cooked up claims. And HRs, largely because I've been one, still in the industry, they go through the pain of educating new hires on the policies, their eligibilities. There's a travel desk involved, there's an admin. So on an average, people write 40 to 60 emails just to manage one single relocation.
Hmm.
That's how it is manually managed in enterprises. What we are doing, this is where we have come up with a digital platform, with a SaaS product, which is actually making it possible for an HR to manage even 1,000 relocations in less than half a minute, which is 1/100th of the time taken otherwise. That's where, and where is it going now? Today, if you talk of, there are more than 100 corporates, and I'm talking of marquee logos that you can think on the top of your mind are already linked with us. We've already onboarded them and we are serving them. So that's how it is going. If I was to still give you, I think it's no more going to take a month time for you to be involved in relocation. But the way I see is like it's just 10 minutes time that you spend. And I think this story will help you how the vision goes like. You just spend 10 minutes on the platform, book all relocation related services on a single platform, which is HappyLocate. And then imagine you taking a flight coming from Gurgaon to Bangalore. If you are relocating, Anand, take it on yourself. There's a driver standing on the airport with a placard saying Anand. Anand sits inside. He says, "Sir, I know you have to be dropped at Leela." He drops you at Leela. Next morning at 8:30, he comes and then picks you up, says, "Sir, I know your office is in Manata Tech Park and therefore I'm dropping you there." 4:30 in the evening, you get a call by the property agent, and the guy says, "Sir, you are scheduled for a property visit. And since you have chosen car accompanied visit, I'm coming with a car." He shows you three properties, you finalize one, pay brokerage online, and then in the evening, the call comes by the packer mover, "Sir, your stuff is there with me. Let me know when I need to drop you. I sense that you have already finalized a property." Now, if you see, and then you get a message, "A, Amazon groceries get 10% additional discount by just typing the coupon code HappyLocate." Now, if you see, you are not talking in the entire game. It's a seamless experience, which is what you are going through just by coming on the platform. That's how we visualize a relocation journey to be.
Absolutely with you, Ajay. And rather, you made me thinking, that yes, there have been a lot of packers and movers, but yes, the journey was not seamless, number one. And then there are a lot of things which employee had to do on his own. Okay.
Yes.
And the value chain was a very broken business value chain, and a lot of things were loose ends and so on and so forth. So absolutely with you. Okay, so that's a great opportunity that you have knocked on, and I'm feeling very excited after talking to you. Uh,
Sure.
the relocation and supply chain were among the most impacted industries across the world during the pandemic, right? So how has been your experience during those times?
Again, I think it's been, I would rather talk with a number. We have been growing 30% quarter on quarter during COVID. That is how we were. In fact, we raised one of our rounds, investment rounds during COVID, just by the virtue of how we were growing. Now, what we did is while corporate relocations were very, very low, we immediately jumped into your office relocations. We opened up verticals like your pet relocations, one. Second, we also got into laptop deliveries, which is your asset relocation largely. So we did not change the objective, but we ventured into asset relocations as well as storage services. Now we noticed that almost every company on this planet was delivering laptops to their employees who were working from remote and were picking up from there. And it was not the job of a courier. They needed somebody who can pack and then move.
Yeah.
That's where we utilized our existing network of packers movers across country, and we serviced the remotest corner of the country from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. That's what we did. So if I talk of numbers, we had serviced 1219 unique routes during COVID when it comes to asset deliveries, and we managed larger asset deliveries for some of the biggest clients, including Gap, Factshed, Cody Betty, Vedantu, Zomato. The largest brands
Great.
that comes on the top of your mind is what we serviced. And that's how we not just sustained, but we took a V-shaped recovery
Wow.
just after this. And then this is how we sustained our growth, in fact. We kept growing. That's how it happened.
Very great. Ajay, pandemic also forced many businesses to innovate, right, and transform their business models to face
Yes.
disruptions. Would you like to talk about any of your innovations and how you prepared the organization to build resilience?
So we had an enterprise tool. Now, earlier when we started some 4 years back, operations largely when we jumped into, it was difficult to actually make a presence for our enterprise tech. There were a lot of companies, they were looking at a very, very service-oriented approach. And while we were taking complete accountability, but again, the acceptance of the tool, it was taking time for us to enter. A paradigm change, rather, if I say, that has happened post-COVID is the adoption of digital platforms. A lot of our admin heads, facility heads and HRs, they became overnight conscious about having a digital platform. And we started making a lot of sense to them because now it was no more manual. It was, they wanted a dashboard. They wanted a platform where they can see what's happening. They can manage employee relocations. They can track the cost. They can see the cost savings happening. And let me tell you, I think at the end, we've been saving 18 to 24% of cost for a lot of major organizations that we serve. And that's something that we've published in case studies.
Okay.
So this is what we have done. If there was a very, very data specific value that we have added. This is one of the direct cost savings that we've done for these companies.
Sure. That's great. That's great. So, customer experience, when we say, is quite critical, right? Especially in the relocation business or industry. So, how are you leveraging technology to deliver customer experience, and how do you utilize advanced technologies, say analytics or AI, to drive any personalization for your customers?
So at very first, what we did, the industry is full of duplicates. Duplicity is a major concern. If I was to still name, because I think there's no problem naming it, but if you just type Agrawal Packers Movers on Google, you'll get some 100 Agrawals. A
Yeah,
lot of lookalikes, sound-alikes,
yeah,
logo copied. It almost is impossible to track whether which one is the original one. Now that's how the industry is.
right.
Now, it is just one
I, I,
example.
I remember, they came up with this Bade Bhaiya concept
Absolutely.
to make it unique.
So they don't, I mean, I think there was no other way left out for them to do this.
Mm,
So this is what was there. Now, when we came, what we did, we started segregating originals from duplicates, number one, at first. So if you have a Santa Fe or if you have a bigger player, by the way, 70% of the top players of the country are already there on my platform as partners. We call them partners, we don't call them vendors.
sure.
Now that's one. Second, we segregated these duplicates from originals. We made sure that everyone who is there on HappyLocate is the original one and there's no duplicate. That's one. And that's one of the largest selling points for these partners to come and get onboarded with us. That's one. Second, we had a very, very streamlined and very strict 8-step onboarding process and screening process of the kind of partners that we put on our. They need to be registered. We look at their offices, we validate, we do a physical verification, we do all that. That's number one. Number two, we have our packing guidelines that we have defined. Now, in the industry, largely if you see, there are people who are using 2-ply cartons, 3-ply cartons, 5-ply. Now, the half of the world doesn't even know what is 2-ply and 3-ply. I'm sure this must be a new term for you right now while you're talking to me. That's where we standardize the packing quality. What happens in the industry today is like major. I do not have an exact count of it, but you can say almost 70 to 80% of the packing today happens with those old carton boxes, which they buy it from waste from Radiwalas or those paper waste that get sold over. And one carton can be used maximum for 3 times. It's largely people are using it for 5 times, 10 times. So packing, largely what has to be understood is that there are 3 pillars. One is your packing, transportation, and on the ground workforce, the blue collar workforce who does the packing and loading. If you're able to take control of these 3, you've got the industry. You will be able to control the experience. Now that's exactly what we did. So we have defined packing guidelines for them to follow. The technology helps the answer to your question in tracking every stage of operations. So if a loading manager is assigned, there are tasks defined. If the packing happens, then there are guidelines defined as to this is how the packing should happen. When the unloading happens, that is something which is being tracked. There are ratios defined as to how many workforce or what is the count of the workforce will be required for this kind of volume. All that is defined and is tracked through technologies, how we are able to manage experience. As an outcome, and we have also standardized the quality of packing materials. It's only HL HappyLocate branded packing materials, which is what is used during the entire packing movement.
Sure.
Now, you'll be more interested to know what is the outcome now. All that is fine. The outcome is against the industry average of around 63%, which is your damage-free relocation. Our ratios are 96%. So we give 96% damage-free relocations today against an industry average of 50%, which is delay-free. Our delay-free is 98%. There's only a 2% delay is the scope that we are still trying to exploit. And we are on papers, technically, India's highest rated relocation management platform.
Sure.
With 4.5 rating. Now, that's how the execution has resulted into outcomes. This is what we do.
Great. you know, uh, sounds very nice, and I'm sure it must be working out very well for it. The companies and the employees, those who are using this, right? So all excited, to be honest. Okay. So why don't you share a little bit about your global and India footprint, and what are the various business verticals you cater to, and how do they contribute to your business?
Great. So if I talk about our geographical reach right now, again, in India, we are servicing almost all the remotest as well as all the areas of the country. As I say it again, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, we cover the complete geography of the country. We have just entered in 5 countries, in fact, 5 larger geographies: the Middle East, the Singapore, Japan, Canada, and US. So that's where we have entered now, and we've just started very fresh. It's been approximately 6 months to our journey. We are trying to set up our partner base out there, which we have been able to do to a great extent. We were trying to set up SOPs, and we have also already done certain moves. They were excellent. We're just trying to make it a scalable solution. And then I think we're also building up tech at the background. I think very soon, another 4 to 5 months is where uh, people from these geographies will experience same what our current Indian customers are experiencing. So we have already, and we are servicing right now, anybody relocating in these 5 countries to and fro can definitely get the similar experience. On service lines, as you asked, we are we've got complete control over packing moving as one vertical. So what we've done, while the as the tagline suggests, one stop relocation platform,
Mhm.
yeah, we want to cover all the relocation related services on a single platform. However, we are going step by step. We choose one service, we try to create a strong USP and master that service line, and then move to another. So we've done packing moving. We have also done hotels. For now, we have just entered into house search, and next year is the plan to build school search assistants. That's how for now it is. But for larger corporates, we also take care of asset deliveries, which is your large equipment deliveries or your laptop deliveries. So these are the services that we currently cater to.
Sure, great. And I was just thinking perhaps I'm not sure if it is already built, or you can also build into experiences wherein uh, somebody moving from city A to B, would he want to just fly with the family, or he wants to go through take a road trip and cover a couple of destinations in between, so on and so forth, so that it becomes an experience for him while his goods get moved or delivered to the location, right? So yeah, so because I recently moved from one place to another, so I was just thinking as to what all can be accomplished.
I'm happy that you're already into the idea now, and
Uh,
sure, definitely. I think you rightly said it. Yeah, the scope is huge,
actually,
and while we have thought of a lot of them, I think it's just a step-by-step approach is what we are taking. So we make sense to the audience when they come up.
yeah. So I remember, one of the CEO I was working with, and giving consulting to him. He was required to move different cities, uh, as far as from Delhi to Hyderabad. Okay, and he said, you know what, I'm not gonna take a flight, which being a CEO, keeps doing, but I'll take a road trip. Okay,
Yes.
Delhi to Hyderabad, and I'll make a memorable one, because this is a time when I can't focus on work, because things getting my household is getting relocated. Why don't you share a little bit about your perhaps your top five business and technology focus areas over the next couple of years, if you want to share?
Yeah. So if I understand correctly, how you would like to understand also how are we looking at what is it that we are thinking of in the next few years? Is that what your
Mhm.
question is?
Yeah.
Okay. So largely it's about, I think, if I talk just about the packing moving vertical, which we have started, we are not just limiting ourselves to the SaaS product. One, We are also trying to do integrations with HRMS and ATS tools, which are available across, so that again we can penetrate much faster into the enterprise acquisition. That's one. We are building something which is called XSaaS Lite. Now, XSaaS is what the product is. What we call, when I say XSaaS, is like experience SaaS is what we call in our way. But we're building something which is XSaaS Lite for SMEs. That's how we were defining target markets, and therefore a very customized way to reach out. That's
Sure.
one. Second, we are getting deeper into experience largely. Ultimately, it's not just about acquiring clients, and it's also about transforming the experience overall and continue to do that over and create a moat. Now, what we're doing is, as I said, no, these are the we've identified that again, these are the three pillars, which is your packing, transportation, and workforce. So the next, which is another thing which is in pipeline, is also tying up with Skill India programs, tying up with a lot of private training centers, and develop packing and loading as a skill category. Because what's happening right now is, when a packing moving happens, what these packers mover they do, when they get to a new city or new place, they pick up anybody standing on the chowk or charaha. So somebody might be standing with a vest and shorts, and then or a lungi, and then they pick up that person. He becomes the loader of the day, and there's zero accountability on that. They are not trained. They are not professionals.
Yeah.
And those are one of the reasons why there's so much of damage and there's so much of chaos in the industry. We're trying to streamline it. I, coming from an HR background, I think the first thing that I could think of, and let's develop this as a skill category and make it more respectful, more, let's make these people more trained, more professional, and probably display it as a category rather than just using anybody as a loader or a packer. So those are areas how we are going to do. We are also going to largely tie up with larger transportation marketplaces and facilitate vehicles or transportation to our packers movers. Now, if you're noticing, we are towards creating an ecosystem of packing moving, where anybody, it need not be an existing large packer mover to do a good job. All that you need to have is intention. I give you customers. I manage my customers end to end. I speak to them. I manage their experience. It is, again, HappyLocate, which is taking care of the business commitment of all the transactions, that's making sure that you're getting a very clear and transparent visibility. The
Sure.
only thing that we are leaving out to our packers movers is just to do the job on the ground. And that's how they are using technology to do it. There's a better payment term that we are going to ensure now, and that's only getting better with time. So it's an ecosystem that we are trying to influence so that we can have more control over the experience. Tomorrow, I want to be the fastest in some of the routes in terms of delivery. So those are the areas that we are getting into. That's
Great.
what it looks
That's
like.
great to hear, Ajay. So, coming to my last question, perhaps in this series, how do you see your business growing in India or globally in terms of any dollar value you want to put, or business expansion and customer acquisition over the next couple of years?
Sure. The market is large enough. A very conservative number is there are more than 50 lakh relocations that happens every year. It's a very, very conservative number, by the way.
Okay.
And I'm only talking about between cities, intercity moves. The numbers must be double when it comes to within city. So, and I'm talking about a very, very SaaS, very B2B specific market. If I convert it into a dollar value, it is a good $21 billion market in India itself, in India alone. Wow. If I look at the global market, which is what our larger target is, it is $184 billion market. What I'm trying to say is the market is huge. And if I was to just put it in a very layman language, there are 213 million enterprises globally. And there are only two players when it comes to enterprise tech relocation solutions. One is Topia in US, and the other one is HappyLocate in India. And that's the kind of opportunity that we are sitting on. So that's how we look at how do we look at again? In fact, acquiring the market. Definitely, I think the very first nearest milestone that I have is to hit the status of a unicorn by 2024 July is how optimistically we are looking at. But largely, yes, considering that the largest player today being Agrawal has not even captured even 2% of the total market. We are looking at, first of all, I think crossing the number of relocations in the next year. I think we'll be the one doing the highest number of relocations next year. That's one. And we're definitely eyeing at a 7% of the total market to be captured in the next 4 to 5 years is how we visualize and project. So,
Great.
so that's about numbers.
Great, great, great. As a parting question, Ajay, you took a leap from corporate to entrepreneurial stint, right? And I'm all confident that it'll go very successful. It'll reach new heights with the passion that you are bringing onto the board. However, any message or any thoughts you want to share for other CEOs and entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs?
Nothing. I think I don't know if I'm still at a level that I should give an advice or suggestion. I'm still in the learning process, and I learn so much from people around. But if I was only to share what is working out with us, is consistency, and I think we've never forget about giving up. We've never taken even a pause on what we are building up. I don't know where that energy comes from, but there's so much of passion in what we are building that we just want to do it as soon as possible, and that makes us running all the time. So it's just that being consistent with that passion throughout is something which is driving us to do this. Every time out here, I think the work culture out here is, and there's a human touch which is there. Even if there is one customer who has had a bad experience out here, half of the floor is after it. That's the kind of sensitivity that we have on the floor and towards our customers. So when you drive with that passion, I think things start getting built up. More people come in and they just join the army. They connect with you. They find it very genuine as a reason to do it. And largely, I think, I've read it somewhere, what keeps me inspiring is life is a story. You just need to make sure that it's an inspiring one when you end it.
Sure.
So that's something that keeps driving, is what I would say.
Great conversing with you, Ajay, and it's all passion that I can see. So thank you so much. I wish you all success to the team, HappyLocate, and yourself. Okay.
Sure.
Thanks to all the viewers who would be watching this. And once again, I thank you for connecting with us, Ajay, and sharing your thoughts.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.